So good. Mrs. Evans, Mrs. Betty Evans. Mrs. Evans is a grandmother of 10 grandchildren of all ages. Mrs. Evans, what would you do now that you wish you knew when you started your parenting?
Hello, everybody, and happy Mother's Day. I can see you better without my glasses, I find. I think I'd like to reverse that question because it assumes that I know lots of stuff now.
Good.
When I carried my little firstborn in his wicker basket into the thatch house, I thought I knew everything. After all, I'd looked after a whole nursery when I was 15. I'd done my time in paediatrics. I worked with the nuns in a nursery at the Mater Mothers, and I travelled to many of the clinics around Brisbane, giving my book knowledge to all those young mothers. Yeah. But that little baby gave me grief. And I found that all that knowledge wasn't worth much at all. That what I needed was a line to God,
Great.
Motherly instinct and patience.
Yeah, so good.
But I have learnt a few things, and one of those is that the journey of motherhood is very diverse.
Good.
Sometimes the journey is bright and cheery, the road is straight, the cool breeze blows and the sky is blue. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the road is rough and twisting, the wind swirls and there is no sun. I also have learned that everybody's journey is different. There is no even playing field in motherhood.
Yeah, it's good.
And those looks askance at a mother that's battling, or the judgments or the criticism are not valid and often cruel.
Yeah.
I learnt a little poem when I was in primary school, and it goes like this. Life is only froth and bubble. Two things stand like stone. Kindness in another's trouble and courage in your own.
So good. Wow.
I've also learned
So good.
that a wise mum will not have rigid expectations.
Wow.
We all want our kids to be brain surgeons or, God forbid, a pastor. And rigidity means that it's easy to break. I was talking to a 90-year-old mother a few months ago, and she said to me, my greatest regret is that I was determined that my son would be a mathematician. And I set out on that journey with vigour. The angst in our home was enormous, and it was all to no avail. That boy was never going to be a mathematician, but he is a very successful man today in the field that he has chosen. Today, across Mother's Day, there are hundreds of sermons on the Proverbs 31 woman. Is she real? I think that Lemuel's mother was looking for a perfect mother-in-law when she talked to her son about that woman. But anyway, we've all been on a journey trying to be that Proverbs 31 woman. and stuff happens.
Yeah. Life.
Now, maybe you say, God's testing me. Maybe you say, the devil's at me. Or maybe my bias says, being a little bit of a theist, stuff happens. That little mother, that Proverbs 31 woman, she sends her husband off down to the gate with all the men, nicely dressed, and somebody walks by with mincing steps and flirty eyes, and she finds herself losing her beautiful farm. Somebody else has her vineyard. Her friends are dispersed. Her children are here and there. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
The little mother who does everything so perfectly in nutrition, and her child grows up to be so strong and healthy and gets a diagnosis of cancer and dies when he's 20.
Wow.
The mother with twins, one son goes on and serves God with all his heart. The other one finds bad friends, stealing cars, in trouble with the law, and crazy on drugs. Stuff happens.
Yeah. So good.
Some child who's not doing well in life will yell at his mother, "My problems are because you dragged me to church." And then there are some of those Proverbs 31 ladies who sit in church with deep pain because they have laid to rest their partner. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
I admire that Psalm 31 woman, but I love more that little woman from Bethany. Luke says she was a sinner, so I figure she's had some reversals in her life. But she has followed Jesus everywhere. She's watched him, she's listened, she's fallen in love with him because she has found that he is the way where her wrongs can all be taken away and she can have a relationship with him as her saviour. And she comes, she wants to give him something back. And she comes and she falls down at his knee and she gets that ointment, that very rich perfume, and she pours it. And she looks down and she thinks, "Oh, I've blown it again. Now there's tears on Jesus' feet." And she pulls out the pins from her hair and she wipes his feet. And the criticism starts. People criticise her for what she's done. They know her past, perhaps. But Jesus puts her there in the middle of the prophecy of a world spreading of the gospel. And he says, "This will be in remembrance of her."
Yeah.
And I determine that through the tears of joy and through the tears of pain, I will pour out my love to God till the day I die.
So good.
And Proverbs 31 women, all of you, so will you.
Yeah, so good. Whoa.